Welcome back. Today I want to demonstrate using a vehicle to load to recharge the house batteries from our EV. And so I'm going to get started with that. But first thing I'm going to do is just do a review of what I currently have as my setup and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And then the second part of the video will be the actual demo. So if you already followed along with me before, you might want to skip ahead a bit. So let's get to the introduction. Ready. So what I have in the house here, I have an Ecoflow solution, and this is a battery backup for 10 of the AC circuits in the house, and it's not grid tied to the extent that it doesn't feed power back to the grid. So it's what I would call a downstream solution. So what I have is this is an Ecoflow Smart Home Panel 1, and it is tied to 10 circuits in the house. And so for each of those circuits, then the smart home panel decides whether that circuit should be powered by battery or by the house. And I'm not doing a demo or a review of that right now, but I'm just saying that's what I have. And then plugged into that, I have two Delta Pros. These are the original Delta Pros. One of them has 2 extra batteries, one has 1 right now. And so that's a roughly 17 kilowatt hours of battery power to power the house in an outage, or when I get solar. And I've got a little plug panel that I had talked about earlier that I created, cobbled together, so that I can move. I have two small 8-foot wide solar panel banks in the yard, and so that I can recharge the batteries from solar. And of course I can recharge the batteries from the grid. And then what happens is, for these Delta Pros, when they are connected to the smart home panel, so they're either powering or getting charged from the house, from the grid, the AC outlets and the AC inputs are all disabled, so that it's just going through the smart home panel. The only way to charge them, other than from the smart home panel, is through the DC connector, which is used for the solar. So what I've done is, and I talked about this in the previous video, I added in an SMPS, a switching mode power supply, that converts AC power to DC power up to 72 volts and feeds that into then whichever Delta Pro I want to charge. So that lets me, I can plug this into my little Honda gas generator, an inverter generator, and I can charge them that way. But today I'm going to demo using the car to do that. I'll explain why when I get to the car. I also have a standalone Ecoflow. This is a Delta Max with extra battery. It totals 4 kilowatt hours. And that's standalone, that's not tied to anything right now. So I can charge that through the regular AC outlet, and we'll test that also today. So the reason I'm doing this demo, the car, this is a 2025 Kia EV6, just got it. It's got an 84 kilowatt hour battery. So in an outage, that's 84 kilowatt hours of energy that's sitting in the driveway. So in an extended outage, I could use that to charge either the standalone Delta Pro, hopefully, or the Delta Pros here while they're connected to the house via the switching mode power supply. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. And that would give me, days and, maybe a week, I don't know, of electricity to power the house in case of an outage. So our refrigerator and freezer will keep going, and we'll have lights and computers and internet and all those necessities of life. So, okay, let's go into the demo part now. Hi, this is Paul, future Paul, in fact. I wanted to just show you quickly take a side trip here and show you my two panels that I have, and I've got the text here. The front yard, I've got 4 solar panels in series, which gives about 86 volts and 13 amps, which is less than what the Delta Pro can accept. And these are bifacial solar panels that I had bought a while back. I don't know that the bifacial is doing me much good because there's nothing really reflective behind them. But so that's my front yard, and that's going into one of the two Delta Pros. And then in the backyard, I've got two larger panels. They're 550 watts. And so they're producing together in series, they're producing about 100 volts at 14 amps, which again is less than what the Delta Pro can accept. And so both of these, and then this bank would go into my other one. So I have one bank going into one Delta Pro and one going into another. I have one in the front, one in the back. I get sun at different times of the day. So just taking aside, let's go back to the action. So this is the adapter that came with the car. Comes in a little carrying case with a zipper. Has a small card with instructions in 4 different languages. And basically what it has, this Kia has the NACS adapter, the North America Charging Standard adapter. So this is the NACS adapter on this side. And then on this side, when I remember how to open this up, there we go. You pop that open, and there's a regular AC outlet there. There's an on-off switch here. There's a light that shows whether or not it's working, and there's a button to unplug it. And I learned yesterday that it has to be turned off before you can unplug it. I couldn't get it out at first until I figured it out. But then you could run the extension cable out here, and there's a, kind of a rubber seal here where you could, if you're going to leave this plugged in outside, because this plugs into the charge port on the outside of the car, as we'll see here in a minute. The car also has an AC outlet in the back seat, but that's inside the car, and that would probably be ideal for, charging a laptop while you're driving. Your passenger could be using their laptop, but it's inside the car, so for powering the house, it's not a good choice because you'd have to, leave a window down or something. So I don't want to do that. So, okay. So let's give it a try. So the charge port on the new EV6s, the ones that are made in the U.S., is on the back left, which is the same as Tesla has. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. And I just turned it on, I think. So we'll give it a shot and see how that works. And if I don't have it quite, there's a light, it came on, I think it was blue, and then I pushed the button and it was green, and one of those is on and one of those is off. Let's look at the instructions to remember which is which. Okay, this is the charge cable that came with the Delta Max. So I've got it plugged into the standalone Delta Max. Okay, the device is plugged into the car, the vehicle to load adapter. It has a max voltage and a max amperage on it. I did the math, and that comes out to a little over 1,800 watts max. So I've got the Delta Max. I usually don't charge it at full speed anyway because it's not really great for batteries. So I've got the Delta Max here set to a maximum charge rate of 1,200 watts. So we should get 1,200 watts. Let's take a look and see. Oop, I'm going to plug this in. Okay. Then turn it around so you can see what's going on here. It is charging it's up to 900. 1,100. And 1160. You'll see how it narrows out here. So it's charging at 1178, 1179, 1180. And it's discharging. The discharging it's showing at 490. That's going to the extra battery. So it's charging the extra battery too. Okay, so it's charging at around 1,200. Let's go back to the car and see if, make sure everything Looks good back here. Nothing's at 1200 watts. It shouldn't feel warm at all. The light, the charge light is actually flashing on the car, and doesn't feel warm at all. Let's see if the dash says anything, just for grins, in the car. See if it says it's discharging or something. Transferring vehicle to load, it says. Time remaining 24 hours, 14 minutes. Down to a minimum of, I have it set in the app. Whoops, I don't know if you can see that or not. It's kind of reflecty. Sorry about that. Let's see if I can go in here. Well, you may have to take my word for it. It says 24 hours, 14 minutes, vehicle to load. So to drain it down, the car down to 30%. The car's at 80% right now, which is where we usually leave it now at home. And I've got it set. There's an option in the Kia app where you can set a minimum charge percentage for vehicle to load. And I have it set so that so it'll stop, the vehicle to load will stop working when the car battery reaches 30%. So it'll always save at least 30%. And of course I can change that in an emergency, but I'd probably just leave that for most things. So that is working. Now, let's try the other option, which is to charge the home batteries directly through the smart switching power supply. So let me get that hooked up and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I'll show you what I got. So this is going to end up going into the solar input in the back of the Delta Pro. And in the Delta Pro, it only has one solar input and it's limited. It'll never pull more than 15 amps. And it's limited to 150 volts. And my switching mode's power supply will produce a little over 70 volts, so well under the 150. And it'll produce probably around 20 amps, but the Delta Pro is only going to pull 15, so it'll never be drawing more than 15 amps. So let me go ahead. So what I've done then is I've connected the switching mode power supply to my battery bank number 2, and they are just sitting here right now. They're at 84 and the extra battery's at 83%. So let me go ahead and get the charge cable and plug this into the switching mode power supply. Give me a second. Okay, one of my cables just fell behind. All right, you can hear the fan kicking on. The original Delta Pro has a very noisy fan. Okay, I'm still waiting. Not seeing a charge. Why am I not seeing a charge? Let me go out and check and see if the car turned it. Well, let's wait and see. Do I have a green light on the switching mode power supply? No. So what must have happened when I unplugged it, it probably turned itself off, maybe. Yeah, it did. So let's turn it back on. Turn it back on. Okay, I probably have to like lock or unlock the car or something. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. Well, I messed up. I messed up the video. Sorry about that. And it's starting to rain outside, so I've discontinued the test. But you'll have to take my word for it. But what it did was, as expected, when I restarted the vehicle to load connector, I had to unlock the car and plug the vehicle to load connector back in, turn it on. Then it started to run the Delta Pro at around 1100 watts. It was charging the Delta Pro to around 1100 watts, which is what I expected with a 72 volts and 15 amps is about 1080 watts. So it was a little over that. So it probably produces a little bit more than 72. It probably produces like 73 or 74 volts, something like that. So it worked fine. So in a power outage now, I can use the Delta Pro. I can use the car to recharge my house batteries or my standalone Delta Max just fine. Of course, you can use that the vehicle load also to run any, smaller, AC appliance. You could, charge a laptop, probably run a tea kettle. It's going to have to be something that draws less than about 1,800 watts to use the vehicle to load. So no super huge stuff, but, moderate things. And I'm only going to try to charge it around 1,200 because that's usually, unless I'm running the microwave or something, a coffee maker, those draw more than 1,200 watts. So most of the day in our 10 home circuits, we're running less than 1,200 watts. So if I'm charging from the car, I'll be gaining charge. So at some point I can turn the car off and run just on regular house battery for a while. So anyway, it worked. Yay. And that's going to be all for now. And thanks and for watching. And I'll probably talk to you later.